Why hello there my people, it is none other than your boy VRD back at you with another train sim mode 5 route learning video. And in today's video we shall be taking a 4-car class 377 Electro Star, which is this thing here, down to Eastbourne from Brighton. So we shall be calling at Falmer, Lewis, Berwick, Polegate, Hampden Park, and finally Eastbourne, which is a journey time of about 40 to 50 minutes, I'd say. So let's jump straight into this. We are going to begin by entering the back cab of our train. That's the cab facing away from the direction of travel, which is fairly obvious due to the fact that we've got a set of buffer stops in front of us, so we wouldn't be going anywhere from this end, would we? No. Gonna set the driver reminder appliance, and we're also going to configure the gangway doors correctly just to prevent anyone from breaking into the back cab or anything like that. Finally, we are going to set the tail light switch. We're going to turn that into the on position. However, the auto position also works just as fine. I've just decided to choose the on position on this occasion. That is all we need to do in the back cab, so we can now exit the cab. And before we head up to the front of the train, we're just going to ensure that we have 2 red tail lights being displayed back here, which we do indeed. And we can now make our way up to the front of this 4-car train. We're due out of here in 10 minutes time, so we don't need to rush or anything like that. Right, so here we are at the front of the train. As you can see, the driver that was here before hasn't turned on the tail lights, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but oh well. Going to enter the cabin once again, configure the gangway doors correctly. I'm not sure why the gangway doors have been left like that as well. That is criminal. We're now going to head over to the safety systems isolation switch panel. The automatic warning system, driver safety device, vigilance, and driver reminder appliance isolation switches all need to be turned into the vertical normal positions. On the London commuter variant of the class 377 Electro Star, so this is the East Coastway variant that we're on now. On the London commuter variant, I am aware of the fact that the driver reminder appliance isolation switch is already in the normal position by default. However, on this one, it is in the isolated position by default. So do remember to turn it into the normal position alongside the other isolation switches that you would normally interact with on the London commuter variant. Now going to sit in the driver's seat, set the driver reminder appliance. I'm going to insert the master key, turn it into the on position. What else? I'm going to then turn the F&R switch or the reverser, or in this case they've called it the direction switch. It has a lot of names. I'm going to turn it into the neutral position and immediately acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence. So let me show you guys how to do that now. So into neutral, the automatic warning system alert sounds. Press the AWS acknowledge button to reset the self-test sequence. Now going to head over to the headlight switch and turn that into the day running position. Now going to head over to the, I believe they call this the My Track. I'm going to head over to the My Track and configure the destination display to be reading Hastings, as that is where this train is heading to, although we're only going to be driving it as far as Eastbourne. So clicking PIS to bring up the destination list. I'm then going to scroll down to Hastings, click confirm location, and you can see Hastings has appeared in the current destination box. Now going to click exit, and we can now head outside and ensure that everything is being displayed correctly. But while we are doing that, I am going to open the passenger doors. So here we are looking at the front of the train with all the lights set up correctly and the destination display set up correctly as well. So destination display reads Hastings, brighter headlights shining from the non-driver side, not so bright LED style lights shining from the driver's side, and we got the Cyclops light up there at the top as well. And that is the day running configuration. Gonna get a thumbnail while I'm at it. There we are. Now going to return to the cab, going to close the cab door, open the window so we get some nice run sounds whilst we're driving along at 90 miles an hour. And I believe that is everything regarding the startup procedure. So we are now going to sit here and patiently await our scheduled departure time, which is in 5 minutes. So I'm going to edit down the video and catch you guys in a bit. Right, my people, we are down to within 60 seconds of our scheduled departure time, and we can't actually see our platform starter signal due to the curvature of the track. We can see the platform starter signals associated with the tracks over there, but we can't see our platform starter signal. So what the people at Network Rail, or whoever is responsible for building the tracks, what they've done is they've very kindly put something called a banner repeater here, and that basically relays the aspect of the platform starter signal, enables us to more or less know what the platform starter signal is displaying without us actually being able to see it. So diagonal means that the platform starter signal, I say platform starter signal, but it's not always going to be a platform starter signal. It could be just it could be any signal, to be honest, but on this occasion it's the platform starter signal. Diagonal means that the platform, I've gone and said it again. Diagonal means that the signal that the banner repeater is associated with is displaying a proceed aspect, that being green or yellow. And horizontal, like that one over there is displaying, that is associated with the adjacent track. Horizontal means the signal is displaying a red aspect. So we know that we have a proceed aspect, and I'm 99% certain that that is going to be a green aspect, but we obviously don't know. So we can reset our driver reminder appliance, and we are going to get the doors closed. I lost a bit of time there explaining that, but it's not the end of the world, to be honest. Right, doors are closed. Let's close the cab door. Just ensure that we have an interlock there. The interlock light illuminated tells us that all of the doors are closed and locked. Final glance at the banner repeater. Selecting forward on the F&R switch, and we are going to test out the whole start button as we move off here. So holding in the whole start button, which is L2 on the PS5 controller, releasing the brakes, observing the 1 bar reading on the brake cylinder gauge. Selecting notch 1 of power, waiting for a second, releasing the whole start button, brake cylinder gauge reading falls to 1 bar, and train begins to move. Going to up the power to notch 2. The speed limit departing from Brighton station is 25 miles an hour. However, I am going to not go above 15 miles an hour until we are clear of the platform and the point work just outside of Brighton station. You can see that the platform starter signal has now come into view. What we are looking for is a letter E in the route indication box. So we can now see that we do indeed have the letter E in the route indication box. That tells us that we are being routed along the East Coastway. If there had been a letter M in that route indication box, that would tell us that we are being routed up towards Gatwick Airport along the main line. And I have covered that journey before, so please feel free to check that out on one of my other uploads. But obviously, watch this video first. Please, thank you. So like I said, the speed limit is 25, but I am not going to go above 15 until I'm clear of the point work. Just due to the fact that the turning radius for those points outside of Brighton station is a bit vicious. It just makes it nice and comfortable for the passengers. 25 mile an hour seems a bit extreme going over those points. As you can see here, we have a little tiny board with the number 30 in it. Once we are clear of that board, we can sorry, the speed limit will be increasing up to 30 miles an hour once the rear of our train is clear of that board. So what I'm now doing is beginning to accelerate up towards 25 miles an hour very slowly. By the time we achieve 25 miles an hour, the speed limit will have increased up to 30 miles an hour. And we have a further increase in the speed limit up to 55 miles an hour very shortly. However, what I am going to do is perform a running brake test before we accelerate up to that. Running brake tests are normally performed at 30 miles an hour, or when you achieve 30 miles an hour for the first time after departing from the first station on your trip. So you can see we passed the 55 board there. We've achieved 30 miles an hour, so I'm now making a brake step 2 application, observing the speed fall by 10 miles an hour and releasing the brakes. And we can now accelerate up towards 55 miles an hour, as that is the new speed limit. This is London Road Station. We are not stopping here. You'll find that a lot of the speed boards on this route are in the format of a fraction. So you'll have one number on top. You'll have a numerator and a denominator. Sorry, I'm just cutting back on the power as we get closer to 55 miles an hour. So you'll have a numerator and a denominator in the speed board. Don't worry, it's got nothing to do with maths or anything like that. That more or less tells us that you've got 2 separate speed limits on the section of track that you're traveling on. Most of the time, passenger trains will be authorized to travel at the higher speed limit. So in this case, if you were paying attention, you would have seen that we had a 45/70 in that board. That tells us that as a passenger train, we are authorized to accelerate up towards 70 miles an hour. But freight trains must travel at 45 miles an hour. That is the simple way to put it. There is a bit more to it than that, but I'm not overcomplicating nothing. So we're now accelerating up towards 70 miles an hour, which is the new speed limit. That was Morecambe Station that we just passed through back there. And as we get up to about 67 miles an hour, I am going to shut off the power due to the fact that we have an upcoming reduction in the speed limit down to 60 miles an hour. And due to the fact that we are traveling on an upward gradient, shutting off the power when we did is going to give gravity a bit of time to bring our speed down to below 60 miles an hour. So by the time we reach the commencement of the 60 mile an hour speed limit, we should hopefully be traveling below 60 miles an hour. So it allows us to slow down for the speed limit without needing to apply the brakes. It makes it more comfortable for the passengers and cuts down on the overall wear and tear of the train. So you can see we're now doing 60 miles an hour, and here comes the 60 mile an hour speed board here. Braking point for Falmouth Station is not too far beyond this speed board as well, so just prepare for that. Shortly after entering the right hand bend after the commencement of the 60 mile an hour speed limit, make a brake step 2 application to begin slowing down for Falmouth Station. Aiming for about a 25 mile an hour entry speed into the platform. So just reducing the braking force down to brake step 1. Stop in position for a 4-car train at Falmouth Station in the eastbound direction is just beyond the second footbridge. So we had the first footbridge that we passed underneath, and we've got the second older style footbridge coming up here. And you can just about see the 3 to 5 car stop board just beyond it. 2 to 5, I do beg your pardon. Is that 2 to 5 or 3 to 5? Hold on. It's giving it a burst of power there. I did slow down a bit too quickly. Okay, 2 to 5. There we are, perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. And we are running slightly late, but that is due to the fact that I was explaining how a banner repeater works before departing from Brighton station. But hopefully we're able to make the time up along our journey today. Right, so we have a green platform starter signal, so we can close the doors because we are beyond our scheduled departure time. Doors are interlocked into forward, and we are on an upward gradient departing from Falmer station, so I am going to use the horse start button to move off. So selected notch 2 initially. Once we achieve 5 miles an hour, I will select notch 4. Speed limit departing from Falmer station is 60 miles an hour, increasing up to 70 miles an hour very shortly. Next station is Lewis in 4.3 miles time. So here we are coming up on Falmer Tunnel, and you can see we've got the speed board there indicating that the speed limit increases up to 70 miles an hour. Also worth mentioning that the upward gradient that we are traveling on since more or less departing from Brighton is now summiting out in the middle of this tunnel, and it is now going to become a continuous downward gradient for the rest of the way into Lewis station. What I'm actually going to do is shut off the power at 55 miles an hour, and I'm going to allow gravity to bring us up to 70 miles an hour. And due to the fact that the downward gradient is quite steep, it's actually not going to take that long at all for us to achieve 70. Once we do achieve 70, I'm going to make a brake step 1 application momentarily to bring us down to 65 miles an hour. I'll release the brakes, and then I'll allow our speed to roll up to 70 a second time. From there, another brake step 1 application will have us slowing down for a reduction in the speed limit down to 55 miles an hour. I appreciate that's a lot to take in, but I will call out what I'm doing as I'm doing it. What we want to do is count signals as well. So that was the first signal that we just passed after leaving Falmer Tunnel. So we're counting signals from the exit of Falmer Tunnel. So that was signal number 1. It's at signal number 3 that you want to start thinking about the 55 mile an hour speed limit, because it does come into force not too far beyond the 3rd signal after Falmer Tunnel. So we are coming up on 70 miles an hour now, so I am preparing to make a brake step 1 application to slow down to 65. Just doing that now. Here's signal number 2. So we're now down to 65 miles an hour, so I'm releasing the brakes, and like I said, because we are still on the downward gradient, gravity is going to begin to bring us up towards 70 miles an hour once again. So we passed the 2nd signal. I'm now looking out for the 3rd signal. So up to 70 miles an hour, I'm now making a brake step 1 application again. And this is the 3rd signal that we're coming up on now. So I now know that we're getting very close to the 55 mile an hour speed limit, and here it is coming up now. So I've just upped the braking force to brake step 2 there. Acknowledging an AWS alert for a warning board associated with a reduction in the speed limit down to 10 miles an hour. And I did in fact slow down to 50 miles an hour instead of 55 miles an hour, just for the same reason as us slowing down to 65 miles an hour a couple of miles back along the line. Just gives gravity a bit of room to bring our speed up towards the speed limit, prevents us from accidentally exceeding it. So now that we've rolled back up to 55 miles an hour, I've made another brake step 1 application. And as we get to this little wooden crossing thing or whatever that is there, I'm going to up the braking force to brake step 2 to begin slowing down for the upcoming 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. Reducing that back down to brake step 1. I am in fact momentarily going to release the brakes there. I did over brake ever so slightly. So this signal here is the signal that protects Lewis Station. What you want to do is aim to pass that signal at 30 miles an hour, and from there a brake step 1 application will bring you down for the upcoming 10-mile-an-hour speed limit on a very decent braking curve. So you can see the 10-mile-an-hour speed board coming up there. It's on a left-hand bend, so it is a bit awkward to slow down for, but that shunt signal there associated with the adjacent track is more or less in parallel with the commencement of the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. So you could use that as a bit of a reference point, because it does come into view before the 10-mile-an-hour speed board itself. I don't know why the speed limit is 10 miles an hour coming into here, but if I had to guess, I think it's due to the fact that you've got 2 lines converging immediately beyond the platform here at Lewis Station. So I'm just literally running off of momentum to roll up to the stopping position here at Lewis Station. In a 4-carriage train, it's not too far from the signal at all. So here it is coming up now, the 2 to 4 carriage stopping position, and then the 5 to 12 carriage stopping position is slightly further along the platform. Here we are, perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, and we have a door release on the left. So we are currently running 2 minutes late. Just taking a final glance at the platform starter signal, pressing the door close button. We have interlock. Taking a final glance at the platform starter signal. Always look at it one more time before applying power. Into forward, releasing the brakes. We're now on level terrain as well, by the way, so we don't need the whole start button. And selecting notch 2 of power. Please remember that the speed limit is 10 miles an hour departing from Lewis Station. The amount of times I've just whacked the power right open and accelerated up to 30 before realizing that the speed limit is in fact 10 coming out of here. Yeah, keep that in mind, please. It would be handy to have another 10 mile an hour speed board just at the end of the platform as a little reminder, but no, you do need to commit that to memory. And as you can see, the speed limit increases up to 40 miles an hour at this trailing point here. So we're just going to wait for the rear of our train to be clear of that, which is going to take a while due to the fact that we are only doing 10 miles an hour. But thankfully, we're only a 4-car train. If we were a 12-car train, this would be fairly painful, to be honest. And the next station is Berwick Station in 6.9 miles time. It's funny, I tend to always say however many miles time, but miles isn't really a unit of time. Excuse me, miles is not a unit of time, so I kind of need to stop saying that. I need to say something else. Anyway, speed limit is now 40 miles an hour, so I'm now accelerating up towards 40, but I'm only using notch 2 of power to do so, due to the fact that we have a further increase in the speed limit up to 60 miles an hour coming up. So by using notch 2 of power, I'm delaying the achievement of 40 miles an hour. So you can see the 60 board coming up now. So I've literally delayed us achieving for 40 miles an hour, and that enables us to have a continuous acceleration up to 60 miles an hour rather than accelerating up to 40 miles an hour, shutting off the power and then reapplying power afterwards. It's a bit disgusting doing it like that. You can if you want to, but that's just my preferred way of driving. This is a junction I can never remember the name of. I think it's Southern Junction. Speed limit does increase up to 70 miles an hour here, by the way. However, it is a 40 mile an hour speed limit for trains diverging off of this line and heading over towards Seaford, which is where that line goes. So I'm now accelerating up to 70 miles an hour. And we do have a further increase in the speed limit up to 80 miles an hour that comes into force very shortly. So up to 70 miles an hour. So I'm now shutting off the power. Slightly hypocritical of me, because I just literally spoke about delaying the acceleration and whatnot, but it's not the same. This is slightly different. So there's the 80 board there, very hard to make out, and at this speed it doesn't take long at all for a 4-car train to be clear of the speed boards, so we can more or less apply power straight away. Also worth mentioning that on this left hand bend here, after the commencement of the 80 mile an hour speed limit, this would be your braking point for Gland Station, but we are not scheduled to stop there. However, if you were scheduled to stop there, you would want to make a brake application just after entering that left hand bend there, and that left hand bend is situated after the commencement of the 80 mile an hour speed limit, so do keep that in mind. This is Gland Station coming up now. We're now traveling uphill once again. We are going to be traveling uphill for the more or less the rest of the way into Berwick Station, which is still 4 miles away. And we're very shortly going to have another increase in the speed limit up to 90 miles an hour. Just using notch 2 of power at the moment to maintain 80 miles an hour seems to have us balanced out fairly well. And at this bridge here is the commencement of the 90 mile an hour speed limit. The 90 board was attached to that signal post, but it was quite hard to make out because it is quite small. I'm not sure why they use those small speed boards. I'm not a fan of them at all, because they are very hard to spot when traveling at excessive speeds. So we are in full power at the moment, but due to the upward gradient that we are currently tackling, it is going to take us quite a while to reach 90 miles an hour. So we are now 1.7 miles away from Berwick Station, so I am going to start to think about braking for the station. We are more or less traveling at 90 miles an hour as well now, so I am going to shut off the power. And what I am looking out for is a whistle board, so a board with the letter W in it. That board prompts me to sound my horn. Once we pass the whistle board, I'm going to count to 5. So here's the whistle board coming up now. 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to make an immediate brake step 2 application. And that should slow us down for Berwick Station on a nice braking curve. There is a banner repeater on the approach to Berwick Station. Want to aim to be doing about 40 miles an hour going past that, and that is a good indication that you're slowing down on a good braking curve. If you're doing faster than 40 miles an hour, then you want to think about upping your braking force. So I've reduced the braking force down to brake step 1 momentarily there. I'm just going to up it back to brake step 2 and back down to brake step 1. Just jumping between brake steps 1 and 2 just to give you that nice approach. 25 mile an hour entry speed as well coming into here should do you just fine. It's on a 1 in 60 downward gradient, so just keep that in mind. It might be a bit more challenging to slow down. There's the 2 to 4 stop board coming up, about a carriage length away from the end of the platform. Just rapidly jumping between the various braking positions, just trying to achieve that accurate stop. There we go, perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. And what you're aiming to do is you're trying to come to an accurate stop whilst moving the power brake controller as little as possible. So people that are extremely good at this can probably make their brake step 2 application. Well, the most ideal way to go about it would be making a brake step 2 application and then staying in brake step 2 until you're literally a foot away from the stop board, and then reducing it down to brake step 1 to achieve your smooth stop. However, that is the odds of pulling that off are probably astronomical, to be honest. But yeah, just aim to have as little adjustments of the braking force as possible. So speed limit departing from Berwick Station is 90 miles an hour. However, we do have a momentary reduction in the speed limit down to 80 miles an hour. And when I say momentary, I mean momentarily. Momentary? Oh goodness, I don't know. Well, if that's not an actual word, I apologize, but I think it is a word. The speed limit, I'm assuming, is due to the fact that we're passing over a bridge of some sort. I don't think it's the strongest bridge in the world. And we're not actually going to achieve 80 miles an hour before we come across that speed limit. So the only reason I have mentioned that is due to the fact that you might be driving a train that doesn't stop at Berwick Station. And if that was the case, then you would need to take this speed limit into consideration. So there it is now. There's the 80 board. We pass over a bridge and then there's a 90 board again. So literally it's not even a quarter of a mile. It's only a couple like probably about 100 yards, and then speed limit goes right back up to 90 miles an hour. It is quite strange, but like I said, we're passing over a bridge during that small section, so I can only assume that it's for that. I don't think the bridge is capable of handling trains traveling at more than 80 miles an hour, which is understandable. Next station is Polegate in 2.4 miles. So we're coming up on where I'd get the brakes in for Polegate Station, so I am shutting off the power in preparation for that. We've got the left hand bend here. We're going to exit the left hand bend onto a long straight. You can see we have an arched overbridge. Just beyond the arched overbridge is a warning board for a reduction in the speed limit down to 35 miles an hour, with AWS warning associated with it. Making an immediate brake step to application as we pass that warning board, and that should have us slowing down for Polegate Station on a nice braking curve. And I'm aiming for an entry speed of about 20 miles an hour coming into Polegate Station in the eastbound direction, due to the fact that the 4-carriage stopping position is not too far along the platform at all. Just reducing it down to brake step 1 momentarily. So there's the 2 to 3 car stop board. The 4 car stop board is about 2 to 3 carriage lengths beyond that. There it is coming up now, and it's a nightmare stopping at this because you've got nothing in the background to use as a reference for movement, so you'll find yourself often overshooting it ever so slightly. But thankfully I managed to stop accurately on this occasion. But I tend to always overshoot this by a few feet, just due to the fact that I've got nothing in the background to refer to. Trying to see the models of the cars. I'm not a car person. Also, I'm not. I'm not. I can't recognize anything, but I'm sure some of you guys know. Wow, we're 2 minutes late. We're 2 minutes late, which is ridiculous. We don't have a platform starter signal here at Polegate, but the automatic warning system sunflower indication is currently blank, which tells us that the previous signal that we passed was displaying a green aspect. Right, doors are closed and interlocked. Into forward. Notch 2. And I'm not going to go above notch 3 of power, due to the fact that we are expecting a reduction in the speed limit down to 35 miles an hour about a quarter of a mile out from Polegate Station. And it's very important that you commit that to memory as well. What I'm going to do is shut off the power at 30 miles an hour due to the fact that we are going to be traveling on a downward gradient. So again, just giving gravity a bit of room to bring us up towards the speed limit without actually exceeding it. So speed limit is now 35 miles an hour. By the time we roll up to 35 miles an hour, the speed limit will have increased up to 70 miles an hour. So there's the 70 board there. Next station is Hamden Park in 1.9 miles. So the breaking point for Hampden Park Station is at a junction that we are about to pass over. And literally as we pass over the set of points at the junction, brake step 2 application will have you slowing down for Hampden Park Station on a very decent braking curve. So I've shut off the power in advance just in preparation for the braking point. Here comes the junction now, so as we pass over the points, brake step 2, you can see the platforms for Hampden Park coming up in the distance. Just reducing the braking force down to brake step 1. Again, aiming for about a 25 mph entry speed into the platform. Upping it to brake step 2, upping it to brake step 3. We are coming up on the stopping position slightly too fast. Back down to brake step 2, then 1, then releasing extremely quickly, and back up to brake step 1 to come to a stand. Perfect. Stopping position is about 3 carriage lengths from the end of the platform, so keep that in mind. Brake step 3, neutral door release on the left. I say stopping position for a 4-car train or a 3 or a 5-car train as well. It's very important to be specific. But Hampden Park Station, my people, Hampden Park Station. And we are now 3 minutes late, which is very heartbreaking, very devastating. Green platform starter signal, so getting the doors closed. Doors are interlocked into forward, and we are away. Speed limit departing Hampden Park, 70 mph. In about a quarter of a mile, we can expect a reduction in the speed limit down to 55 mph. So what I'm going to do is shut off the power as we get up to 50 mph. Sorry, I'm going to cut back on the power as we get up to 50 mph. And once we achieve 55 mph, I'm going to completely shut off the power. Because there's no point accelerating above 55 mph and then having to slow back down for it. And the 55 mph speed limit comes into force about 300 yards before the signal. So you can see we got a double yellow signal there. That particular signal is 2 signal spacings out from Eastbourne Station. So if that's a double yellow signal, then you know that you are cleared into the platform at Eastbourne. If that was a single yellow, then the signal protecting Eastbourne Station would be displaying a red aspect. As we enter the right hand bend, I'm making a further brake application to slow us down for an upcoming 25 mph speed limit, which will be the final speed limit change before entering the platforms at Eastbourne Station. This is the signal that protects Eastbourne Station. The number 2 in the route indication box tells us that we are being routed into platform 2, and you can see the 25 board there, so speed limit is now 25 miles an hour. You can see the platforms at Eastbourne coming up. What I'm going to do is slow down to below 15 miles an hour before entering the platform, which is driver's policy. When entering a dead end platform, no faster than 15 miles an hour. Three carriage lengths away from the buffer stops, I'm going to make another brake application to slow down to below 10 miles an hour. And one carriage length away from the buffer stops, I'll make another brake application to slow down to below 5 miles an hour. So slowing down to below 10 miles an hour now. Another brake application to slow down to below 5 miles an hour. And we are aiming to come to a stand just as the buffer stops disappear beneath the dashboard. So just using a final series of brake step 1 applications just to stop as accurately as possible. There we go. Brake step 3, neutral, setting the driver reminder appliance due to the fact that we are at a dead end, and crossing the cab to open the doors on the right. Now closing the windows, master key off, reverser off, master key off, headlight switch off, tail light switch on. And like I said, the auto position also works fine, but I've gone with the on position there. Driver reminder appliance, automatic warning system, driver safety device, turn to free room, and vigilance isolation switches all turned into the horizontal isolated positions. And that will be it for the shutdown procedure. And that, my people, concludes this route learning video. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Constructive feedback and criticism is more than welcome in the comment section below and is highly appreciated. And if you'd like to further support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next one. Love.